I can't believe you didn't see the hair coursing question coming.
I can't believe I didn't predict that.
Just outrageous.
Honestly,
Patrick points out that you're losing your touch already.
I really am. I'm so sorry. I thought he was going to raise something important like Gaza and Israel, but clearly no. I'm so sorry.
I don't know. Have I said this before? I think she got him there, didn't she? She had the edge. Possibly late equaliser, maybe for Keir Starmer, but not necessarily.
Yeah, I think, look, the economy is clearly proving to be one of Kemi Badenoch's strongest topics, I think, isn't it? And
doesn't have to be, but I mean, I think for her to do well, he has to do badly as well.
Yes, absolutely. And he came across a little bit ratty today,
he did, yes.
didn't he? He was a little bit squabbly. He started to throw his toys out the pram, and I wrote down angry on my notes. Angry Starmer. She, why doesn't she come and make an apology in her next answer for the way the Conservatives left the country? That came to me as a little bit ratty.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think she did all right. That was probably one of her stronger Prime Minister's questions and responses. And like I say, it has Labour on the back foot on a number of issues. The budget, we've got the spring statement coming up, the national insurance rise. They're absolutely sticking by their promises to continue with it. No chance that the government are going to reverse that as far as we're hearing. Taxes have gone up. They're talking about trying to make an emergency budget a thing. I don't know if it's going to be a thing or not. The government is saying it's going to be a normal spring statement with no budgetary measures in it. However, if Rachel Reeves does break her fiscal rules, she's going to have to come forward with something next week to try and balance the books out. And that leads us into this welfare debate that we've been having this week. Lots of Labour MPs fear that the reason why the government have had to come forward with this welfare statement, these cuts to personal independence payments and other welfare bills, is because they're trying to balance the books. It's not the case. It's just not the case. They're not going to do these welfare payments cuts for another couple of years. It's not going to be impacting anything from Rachel Reeves is doing this year. But it doesn't look like a great look, doesn't it, when you've got your own Labour backbenchers saying, why are you cutting my constituents' benefits? And it does play into the hands of reform, doesn't it? And because you've got people who are now saying, what's the difference between the government and the Conservative Party? They're both cutting benefits. They're both quite hard on disabled claimants. And doesn't that just, I think, play into the hands of people like Nigel Farage who just say, they're all the same?
I suppose it does in that sense. Although, as we touched on earlier, it prevents the Tories from using it as much of an attack line at the same time, but that creates that third wheel, I suppose. Chris says Starmer taking a right kicking today. Andy saying, as awful as Badenoch is, that was not great from Starmer. When Johnson et al. Tried to throw questions back at PMQs, I didn't like it, and I like it no more from him. He sounded a bit panicked, possibly due to a flatlining economy and the threat of Farage Limited. And Liam, I hope you're all right, mate. He says, my £22 billion black hole drinking game was not a good idea today.
Yeah, how many times? You said at least 3 I've written down, but it could be more. And like I say, I wonder how long we can get away with this line for. Do you still think it's a strong one?
We do this every week, don't we?
Do.
And I think, in the great scheme of things, you become more right every week.
Yeah,
because the road starts running out, doesn't it? But I would remind you, and a question of whether it was efficacious or not is moot. I would remind you that at the last general election, Tories were still telling actual lies about Gordon Brown being responsible for the global financial crisis of 2008. So they did inherit a massive black hole, and it never ceases to be relevant. But that does not translate into electoral calculus. But necessarily, it might.
It worked really well for the Tories when they came into power to say it's the last government.
Yeah, largely because every newspaper in the country was complicit in the lie.
Potentially, but I just think as a political attack line, it worked incredibly well for them, whether or not you believe that it's the papers following the politicians or vice versa. It worked well for them. Starmer is taking a leaf out of that Cameron George Osborne playbook by trying to do that. An interesting point, however, from the Prime Minister, and I thought that he would take the opportunity to do this today, when Kemi Badenoch asked him, would you like to extend the freeze in income tax thresholds? This is obviously something that the last government put into place. They extended, they froze income tax bands. It basically means that as you go up, you're dragged, more and more people are being dragged into the higher tax bands because, our wages are going up through inflation. This is obviously, I think, going to be a problem for Keir Starmer again and again and again. All of these old policies that the Conservative government put in place. Labour at the time opposed this, But now, if they decide to reverse it, it's going to cost them a heck of a lot of money to do so. And Labour just don't have the money to do that. And today, Keir Starmer not ruling out extending that income tax threshold. There's lots of things that this Labour government want to do. They don't have the money to do so. They can't do it all in one go.
Well, unless they raise taxes.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
not
Which
do that.
it doesn't feel like they're gonna do that. So
I'm interested. I'm increasingly drawn to this wealth tax rhetoric of people like Dale Vinson. There's an organisation called Patriotic Millionaires who've got a battle bus that's touring the country at the moment. I don't know what the precedent is in other countries, whether it's been tried or not, but you just bring in a relatively low percentage on money over a certain threshold and then shake them by the hand and congratulate the wealthiest people in the country on doing so much to help keep the rest of us afloat.
I'd like to know, though, of those groups, and I don't know if this question was asked to them when I think they did come on LBC, I believe it was yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
So spokesperson came on. There is many formats you can pay extra tax if you want to. I'd be really curious to know how many of them already do so.
Oh, you mean avoid...
Voluntarily so?
No, you can't turn it into donations.
Why not?
Because it's taxation. It has to be a societal prerequisite.
But these guys are saying we want to pay more tax.
Yeah,
well,
but
so
it
then
doesn't.
put your money where your mouth is.
No. It's not.
No?
You can't. That's not. Making a donation lets everybody off the hook. A wealth tax is about recalibrating a society in a way that reflects not only the unfair distribution of wealth, which you don't fix by having some people voluntarily redistributing their wealth.
No, it definitely doesn't fix the answer.
And also, the thing I was talking to that fascinating Danish economist about last week, Emma Holton, putting value on things other than money. And you only do that by spreading the money around. I take your point. If you really want to pay more tax, nobody's stopping you. But that doesn't fix the national problem.
No, I agree with you there. And look, this is not something that a Labour government, I don't think, want to go near. They are trying very hard to stay near the middle of the ground with this one.
I don't think they do either. A lot of people tell me they tried it in Spain and it didn't work. Ollie picks up on one point we are discussing every week at the moment. If the Tories got to mention a post-it note every day for 14 years, which will be the Liam Byrne one, I think a £22 billion black hole is worth going on about for a while yet.
True, yeah, you're probably right. They really did absolutely egg that. I mean, I used to groan when Greg Cans took out that blooming letter out of his pocket, and he seemed to hold it together with sellotape and just brandish it around every occasion, which, yeah, not great.